What's up, guys? We're back. We've got a quick catch up with Fatih Ozavci. You guys attended his lab yesterday. He did a session on tradecraft development. It was pretty interesting. And he's going to be speaking again today at 3 o'clock this afternoon on malware protocol simulations in distributed networks. Fatih, bro, you there, man?
Yeah, and good afternoon. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, first of all. Last night was a busy night for me because of the time zone difference. We started at 10 p.m. It ended around, I think, 12:30 a.m. or about to go to 1 a.m. So it was fun. It was fun event. I actually released some code. That's why I was actually preparing with that code and showing the how it works and etc. etc. Anyway, TBI is the repository. So yesterday we worked on it. It was fun. Yeah, that's the first talk. The second one is today, actually, with an hour, as you referred, malware protocol simulations in distributed networks. So yeah, that's the thing.
And your specialization is actually in tradecraft development, right? Like, I mean, I'm just reading your latest bio. I mean, for the guys who don't know, right? Like, you spoke in 2015, so we've known each other for quite a while, actually. But we haven't had you back at Hack in the Box for, well, since 2015, I believe. It was the last time you spoke, right?
Yeah. In 2015, I have been in Singapore for Skype for Business Research. I have actually dropped 40 days in that call. And yeah, I didn't, of course, release all the details, but I needed to drop as well. It was fun. For Skype for Business Research was good. It was 6 years ago. After that, I started working for some financial institutions. As they have some regulations, they didn't exactly allow me to talk about vulnerabilities, more like procedures and etc. So my direction changed from Hack in the Box to elsewhere. Recently, I joined the Missing Link. So it gives me additional consultancy options. So I'm currently using my adversary simulation skills as well as tradecraft development skills for the clients. And they encourage me to actually release vulnerabilities and tools this time. So after 5 years, it's a change for me. That's why I recently started sharing my work with everyone as well.
That's great,
man. Thank you for this opportunity, so everybody has it.
I mean, like, the fact that people don't like their researchers releasing exploits, I don't know why that would be so, because, it's cool, man. So it's great. It's great to hear that, you've been able to do what you love and, get to enjoy it.
Yeah. Thank you.
So now that you've been in, I'm like everybody else, right? You've been in lockdown under COVID. Like, how's things been with regards to work? I mean, like, has a lot of things changed with like the nature of work for you guys?
Actually, that's an interesting question because normally we don't speak about our private lives, but I'm quite open with that because in Melbourne, we stayed in lockdown for 8 months last year. 8 months, and that lockdown was actual lockdown, so we couldn't go out, we couldn't walk, only 1 hour of sport break, but that's it. So simply, it was a kind of restriction for us. And this year, interestingly, it's back because of the Sydney. Sydney had issues. That's why they have some case numbers going up. That's why we are in lockdown. Actually, for almost 1.5 months, we were in lockdown. I'm still in lockdown after 9 p.m. It turns to curfew. That's why I try to focus on a couple of things. One is adversary development. That was good for me. That's why I'm trying to make everything available to everyone, as well as keeping their licenses in MIT and BSD-like licenses so they can repurpose and use in several different ways to uplift the defense and offense. Also, I've worked in a couple of things. In addition to my study, I started a master of cybersecurity, which helped me to keep my mental health and focus on some university stuff. Also, I adopted a dog. That's another.
Oh, nice.
Development. So,
what kind of dog?
I'm keeping all together like that.
Anyway, Srivat, you got a question for Fatih?
Not really, but do you want to just give us, do you want to tell us what your talk is going to be about? Talk after this.
Sure.
Yeah, so you could give the audience a sneak peek of it.
During my study in Master of Cybersecurity, University of New South Wales, I realized that cyber analytics is having that actually study area has difficulties regarding the malware traffic generation or malware or adversary simulations. The reason being is actually they have no access to most of our tools. Even though we assume that everybody has GitHub repository access, everybody has commercial tools, the real world doesn't like this. And they almost hate almost all offensive researchers for a couple of reasons, because our tools are used by adversaries, and some of the commercial tools are not available to analytics and defense people. For example, as a defense company, you can't actually buy Cobalt Strike. They don't allow you to buy it. If you are an offensive company or something like that, you have access to. But adversaries always have this type of access. They can retrieve the files and they can move on and etc. So this was a kind of dilemma for me, and I changed my direction to actually simulating those adversary behaviors safely. I was actually developing some adversary packs for people to simulate all those activities safely. And even I have developed a tool called TESAT, which is actually generating malware traffic with an implant. And that implant is quite friendly because it doesn't have any hostile capabilities. It only replicates the traffic you shared with that or you designed like a profile. The features are slightly easy to use using a graphical user interface like Cobalt Strike, Covenant, or Mythic, and etc. Define a profile for the service and then generate the service, the command and control service, and generate an implant for it. It was simple like that. When you make it complicated, you can actually distribute this to your, let's say, more complex networks. That includes VPCs in cloud, data centers, hypervisor networks, and etc. Moreover, you may need multiple protocols to simulate there. So TESAT is most friendly version of it. I also identified one more weakness there. Even though they understand some of our tools, especially defense people, they are pretty good to uplift the defense, but they need guidance because they have threat intelligence reports. They have tools, but they don't actually connect them together. That's why I decided to generate another adversary simulation pack last year. This was called TA505 Plus. So simply TA505 Active Adversary was targeting Australia those days. So we simply changed our point of view. When I say that, what if we improve all of our network, just like going to 1 year later, everything is cutting edge. All defense products are up. For example, Windows Defender, Office 2019, Sandbox enabled in Office, some software policies, everything is set. So what could they do? With that assumption, I developed an adversary simulation pack for them. And I actually supplied this pack as a kind of ready-to-go simulation. And it worked well. And after that, actually, I have received some positive feedback. As a result, this TESAT malware traffic generation tool has been developed. I released 2 white papers for it to explain how it works, how we can make it safe. But depending on defense level, if you are an incident responder or digital forensics level technical person, you can use the adversary simulation pack and PATAC or the blind implantment I released yesterday. Or if you are cyber analytics, looking for a safe tool to simulate traffic or train your product, then TESAT is your answer. So I combine all of those in my talk. I will try to explain everything to the defense people at different levels, giving some demonstrations. But the talk is, of course, limited with 1 hour. But even one demo is 40 minutes. So wow. I actually linked that one.
Cool, man. Hey, how many people are developing this tool, man? Is it just you, or do you have a team of developers, or?
Actually, I am alone. That helps me to learn faster.
Okay.
But I'm keeping all the tools open, as well as I invite people to contribute those projects. But everybody is releasing C2s, command and control suites and implants. So it is easy to see a lot of people contributing or changing the codes. But this doesn't mean that they necessarily share it with me. That's why I don't receive a lot of pull requests. But I receive feedback. That is actually my motivation is that one. Because I receive feedback. People say that I use this tool in my defense product against this and this and this. It didn't work. Can you please tune this up? Or I use this adversary simulation pack, but it didn't work, and etc. So they, instead of submitting code, they feed me with ideas, requests, or some feedback. They say that, okay, your tool is so offensive. We couldn't get approval from the compliance. That was the actually most important criticism for Fatih C2, because Fatih C2 is a malware and C2 environment. And they say that, no, we can't use this in our cyber analytics. Compliance doesn't allow us to run a malware. So I changed the approach, and Tesat is coming from there. So that is the work and how I communicate with the public and community and people. On the other hand, for development perspective, I learned through development. That helped me a lot, because I don't know most of the protocols, systems, or Windows internals or network internals work. That's why I try to use different techniques to understand that. But none of those was beneficial if we compare with the programming. Because I need to program something. I need to simulate everything. I need to read the document. And all of those pressure simply end with knowing things better, such as how Windows internals work. Why the defense products fail to, how we can improve the defense product, because now I know that they are actually monitoring us on our shoulder, and they change the addresses in the process environment block or a trade environment block. So we simply see that. So how we can change this, how we can use dynamic resolution, how we can improve those products as well. So my work is hybrid these days. Last 4 years, I focused on this part. It is hybrid now. Offensive and defensive capabilities at the same time. And programming is the key, actually, sticking all these together.
That's cool, man. So in terms of your development roadmap, like, do you publish that anywhere? As in terms of where you would like the tool to be, say in, I don't know, 6 months, 12 months, your own development plan?
Actually, I couldn't use it because I have multiple tools to work. However, those tools are not supported by any commercial organization, not my company I worked for, or not my previous employers. Everybody wants to see those type of tools, but contribution is limited. That's why I need to use my private time to do that. That actually limits my commitment. That plan actually relates to the commitment, because if I give a commitment saying that I will develop this tool for example, next 2 years, and this is the roadmap, and that's where I'm going to, and those are the plans, I need to follow that commitment. But I develop all these tools in my private time, and I don't know what future will bring me, because my business life and work style has been changed a couple of times last 5 years. Jumping between the companies, working as an independent researcher, then jumping back to consultancy. Everything has a different requirement. But open source tools need people behind of them and to be dedicated. That's why I really admire some of the open source developers stick behind of their tools, make it actually beneficial for everyone, and supporting them with some commercial activities. For example, Marcelo, author of Silent Trinity, is a good example. He actually used a lot of good things to harness their tools. It is same for Daniel Duggan as well. I really admire those people and how they manage their open source products and roadmaps. I'm not able to do that, unfortunately, because of my nature of my job.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, because the guys from Chilling project, so Kaijan Lau from Chilling, he has a team of guys that are also contributing code, but he was saying that the bulk of the contribution are made by a very small subset group of people. And the only reason why he can focus his attention on it is because he doesn't need to, it's funded, as in like, at least not commercially funded, but his research time that he spends on building enhancements to Chilling is paid for, as in he can use company time, right? Like to work on that. But have you considered, like, I know even he said donations don't work, but maybe that could be like, if you want a particular feature, you pay for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's developer time after all, right? And you could put a dollar value on that, right? 1 hour, or, this feature takes 3 days, right? And it's going to cost this much. And if enough people, donate Bitcoin or whatever towards it, then you would be able to do it, or if not, hire somebody else to do it, right? Which is which is why I asked whether there's anybody else working on it.
Currently, the answer for almost all of those is no. But I am considering some Patreon or similar environments to be used for trainings. For example, GA505 was a good simulation pack coming with more than 4.5 hours video, including a large documentation set and all the samples, customized code, and it was actually a work built of other people as well. So I didn't want to get any profit there. That's why I released this tool. But again, I spent almost weeks for it, not only 1 or 2 weeks. I just added more data every day, and I made it beneficial and to be used by everyone. But if I require a sort of money for that project, it wouldn't work. It would work, however, for example, Patak or Tesat malware generator, malware traffic generator, because those are tools instead of simulation projects. Yeah. Tools would work and would fit in that picture. I think best approach would be Marcelo's and Daniel's approach, such as using Patreon or GitHub donations or something like that to support the open source project, using Twitch or similar environments to show the research, show the content, accept the submissions or feature requests from the Patreons or some people's, let's say, subscribe to your channel or something like that, then accept from them and then build things on the way. That is an extra work that could be done. I have some interest there. I can do that, but I'm still considering all the options. Is it too beneficial or not? Because lots of C2s out there and lots of development is happening. Also, maybe it's a good idea to say that there's also a commercial organization, Skype. Skype is providing Purple Team tools, their own tools for adversary simulations and etc. And they announced also a community program for this type of developers to submit tools to work with that environment commercially. So there are some solutions integrated to commercial companies or open source development environments using Patreon or GitHub and etc. There are some Twitch streaming. Some of my friends already use this for collecting some benefits and interests. So those are lots of options, and I'm still observing because this is a kind of huge commitment. And previously, I maintained vPro for I think 5 years, and during actually 6 years in public, 2 years in private as well. In total, 8 years for all service provider networks, unified communications, and etc. And it had a toll on me, and it didn't actually pay back. It was more like a research to be published, and I got admired. That was good. I received lots of good feedback, but it didn't pay itself. So at a certain point, I needed to terminate it. I needed to leave it to die. And today, even you can't use it because the Metasploit version has been drastically changed, and lots of things are irrelevant. And I still receive some emails saying that I want to use vPro against this type of VoIP environment or UAC environment and etc. And my answer is no, it doesn't work anymore. Find another tool.
So who's currently pushing the? I mean, you talk about VoIP tools, right? Like, so who's taken up the role of building the next vPro? I mean, like, is anybody doing anything, or they just like forget about it?
As far as I know, one or two other tools appear and they disappear as well. Sandra Graphics, SeedVicious is always there, but SeedVicious has lots of limitations. I haven't used commercial version of it. Sandro also provides that one. Maybe Sandro is an example. He's a good friend as well. So that is one. JS Nostrom has quit playing with voice over IP tools, and he's a SANS instructor now. So Jason will develop some tools. He had some tools for Link. Those days it was Link, then renamed as Skype for Business. I think also Mr. Sip developed by a Turkish development team. So Mr. Sip will be an alternative for it. but everything comes with a different point of view because developers are different. So there is no next viewpoint. There are additional and way more better, much better voice over IP tools out there. Vpro is dead, simply. I let it die. I had to.
You actually mentioned a really good point earlier on. There are multiple C2 frameworks available, and I think if you see on Twitter every other week or month, a new C2 framework is being released by a different security expert, right? Are there overlaps between these different C2s? Is there really a need for this many C2 framework projects to be released, right? Or even as defenders, right? Are they supposed to test their defense against every single C2 framework, or is there just like a few MITRE TTPs that you look out after, and it might cover a few of it? What do you think about those?
Maybe I should take this question in a couple of categories.
Right,
sure.
I can give you developer feedback, I can give you defense feedback, and I can give you a user feedback as well. For development point of view, I had to develop Fatih C2 for a couple of reasons. One is the signature management, because it was brand new and I was using it very well with no detections and etc. So it was good. So I decided to make it public as well because it worked in my environment, and I decided to customize it, and I saw that there is no detections if I customize it. So it is win-win. So I released this for everyone. The second reason for this development was automation. I needed to automate my activities because I'm a red teamer. When I perform an exercise, it takes weeks, months. And defense has no idea what's going on. If it is purple team, things change. They see collaboration, but they still need to replicate this action. When they perform a mitigation process, they still need us to test them. But I don't want to repeat again and again myself. It's not a kind of good approach. Second thing is I need to uplift them. The Fatih C2 has automation capability that can actually engage them to work on the exercise items I have used. So those two things, automation as well as the signature, motivated me for the Fatih C2. But it is so premature, and it is not in. It doesn't claim to be a next Covenant, next Mythic, or next Cobalt Strike. It is more like, how can we deploy a C2 to get the initial foothold, then decide what we to do next? Because Cobalt Strike is your interactive C2, but you have different layers of kill chain. So Fatih has a spot in the earlier compromise. Actually, the blind implantment I released yesterday is a good one. Actually, the repository is available in my GitHub. Also, the tool and the content has been released last night. TBI is the repository. So this blind implantment is not a C2. It is an implant looking for some modules and extending memory, growing memory. What it does is simply loading another .NET assembly, looking for available instructions, load them, then use operate to run them. So simply, as an implant, you have no features other than the skeleton of it, and it runs because it is simple and safe. And it actually downloads an image from an image share site, okay? Whatever you choose, your favorite one. So you upload an image there, and it retrieves the proper image, just like stenography, but it's end of the file. So it retrieves the encrypted content from there and loads this in memory again, and loads as an assembly, discovers the method called, for example, get instructions, and it says that, okay, I have new features now. So it extends in memory, and it gives you a lot of different modules. My examples were more like injection, assembly load, EXOR encrypted or decrypted content, whatever assembly you want to run, remote or things. So you don't need any C2. Your C2 is an image service or something like that. So this is a proof of concept response. So when you release a C2, it should have a reason. So this had a reason. This was going to subtle compromise, just like the Nobelium for the SolarGate exercise. You shouldn't be able to identify you are compromised. You need to have an implant, and the implant must be a sleeper cell. That was the reason. For defense perspective, on the other hand, lots of C2s, and it's not a great idea to see lots of C2s for the adversaries because they have a lot of tools. On the other hand, let's be honest, defense people have enormous budgets. I haven't seen those budgets like that in any offensive capability at all. So when you work for a bank, you can see easily $10 million spent to defense, and offensive capability is taking, for example, only maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe one or two. So that is a kind of limitation. So adversaries are actually mitigating that using the open source tools such as C2s and etc. So defense people don't like it, but they don't actually contribute to the offensive people and try to make it improve together. They stick on their own area. That's why actually offensive people are not hybrid like me. They are more like red, full red, actually crimson red. That's why almost all tools are developed as an offensive point of view. One last thing, as a user, I really appreciate those tools because I use them and I try to admire the authors. I say that they are really good. I can easily see that Daniel Duggan or Ryan Cobb or Rafael March, they do a really great job. And there's a reason for every C2. They demonstrate their capabilities. For example, Brut Ratel is another C2 and malware environment, and he releases a really good tool in C, but he is after his trainings. So his main motivation is the trainings and the content and etc. So not the malware itself. So different motivations, as you see, as a developer, as a user, as a defense person. In my point of view, some are really good, and I'm really inspired of most of those.
Cool, man. Hey, bro, we probably have to say goodbye in a little bit, actually. I think we've got like about 3 minutes left. Just personally, do you have any plans to travel for the rest of this year, or no? Stay at home.
I really love to. However, the Australian government simply started giving only written permissions for certain reasons. So there is no international travel in near future. I think 2022, maybe June. So simply 8 months or so, they won't allow us to travel. They will see the vaccines and environment and etc. I hope this doesn't go that way because I'm really stuck in Australia, to be honest. I recently become an Australian only 1.5 years ago. So I'm coming from Europe. I love Europe, so I'd like to go back, but I'm in prison now. It's Australia, so no international travel. Otherwise, I would be in Singapore anyway, and you know that I love Singapore as well.
Well, bro, we hopefully, things change and we can see you back again in Amsterdam at least, next year I think in the spring is when we plan to do it. If not,
likewise.
After June, it'll be Singapore. So yeah, we'll see you in Singapore then, I guess.
Likewise, I will keep this in mind as well, and I will keep an eye on it. If I can go online, I will be online. If I can't travel, probably I will be there anyway.
Fingers
because
crossed.
Being in the same country for a long time is not a great idea.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it, man. Like, yeah. All right, man. Thanks so much.
Same boat. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And good luck with the event and enjoy it.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
See you later at your talk.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.